they know. So there's no need to set up a defense system. There's no need to set up your guard, because you feel comfortable around your coach. You feel comfortable around your uncle. You feel comfortable around your cousins. You feel comfortable around your pastors. Yet, sexual predators dwell in all these different type people. And I didn't know how to convey that. So I harbored it. Harbored it for 19 years. And I started acting out. And in doing so, it put me at odds with the community, it put me at odds with the school system, and it put me at odds with law enforcement, because the reality is this. I met a woman right here in the city of Dothan. She made mention that she had been sexually abused. She told me that the individual who sexually abused her, as of right now, his career is in law enforcement. One of my supervisors, I shared with them what I had went through. She told me that the guy that sexually abused her had moved on with his life. The individual who sexually abused me went on to become a coach at Carroll High, located in Ozark, Alabama. So the predator always goes on with their life, but the victim, we are stagnated mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And the theme of this whole project is to try to amp up parents, to educate their children that, look, you have a lot of people out here with different sexual appetites. And it's important, it's vitally important, that you create an atmosphere for your child to be able to come to you and say, look, this is how I was touched, this is what was said to me. How do you interpret that? The best coach in life starts out with your parent. And that's basically what I want to try to put on the minds of people in general. And then when it comes down to the youth, adolescents, teenagers, if somebody's rubbing you or touching you the wrong way, convey that. Speak on that. Because you're being, set up, possibly, for some form of sexual abuse. So I encourage you to report that. At this stage of my life, I had become very agitated. It didn't seem as if any of my prayers were being answered. Not prayers for material things, but prayers for people, prayers for spiritual things. And it wasn't long after that I had fulfilled the old proverb, for as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. I thought as a backslider, and later became a backslider, wandering the streets as a vagabond.
Cause it forced me to keep my head up to the sky, and after all the trials I've been through, I thought I'd never lose another battle to you. See, I made up in my mind, yes, I done suited up, I'm ready for war, so why you acting so tough?
I had pretended to be aggressive for so long that I had become an aggressive teenager. Having such a bad attitude and seeking to fulfill an aggressive role placed me at odds with a variety of people throughout the city. Seeing that and knowing so prompted me to go out and purchase firearms at all costs, because I knew that I would be involved in some form of street warfare.
I'm about to tell you what it's really like. Some days ain't the same, and I'm feeling like should I continue going on or get sleep at night? Sometimes I close my eyes and I vision light. I swear some people just ain't doing better. Wanna live off others when they got their stuff together. What about they family members who they taking care of? Never mind, you selfish and you just made it clearer. Take a moment and look at yourself in the mirror. If anybody's to blame, see your image clearer. Money, a lot of people swear that it's to blame, but it's the love for them dollars, and that's just a shame. Pastor told me this a strange world. Told me not to be blind to it, remain sterile. But I swear I'm still flirting. getting what I can get out of it, and seeing is for certain. I know I'm not perfect, and I should know better. I taught myself some rules and put them in gold letters. I know I shouldn't curse, fornicate, and tell lies. That's why I'm on my knees and repenting, sorry God. I know I should be showing your people the right way and preach the gospel to them, so this is my only way. I know I got faith, I just gotta make a choice to get back on the right track and listen to your voice.
After attaining a variety of firearms, I felt a sense of power. And having such a sense of power put me at odds with not only the community, but even with law enforcement. On May the 15th, 1996, I was approached by an associate and informed that he had been robbed at a dice game. It was then that he and I, during the late night hours, approached his home and committed an act of a home invasion robbery in which I shot an individual. There I was, in the Houston County Jail, held under a $250,000 bond for the charges of first-degree robbery and assault.
Yeah, I used to want to be famous. Why? 'Cause in school I was treated like a stranger. Mom used to work all the time and it changed us. Living in the project with no one to restrain us. This life make me wonder what if I made it out the ghetto with a change. What if I had a lot of money, would I feel more gifted? Equal opportunity was there, so I took it. Nah, 'cause reality is set in. I'm headed down the road in society a dead end. Devil behind the wheel, but it's car I never get in. Searching to be a part, but somehow I never fit in. Yeah, 'cause I'm better out believing God and living right even when I'm up against the odds. It changed for the good, even better. 'Cause heaven is eternal when the burn if I could take it all back. Everything that I did as a man from a kid would have changed what I did. This life that we live in, some serious. Trying to do the right thing for the sake of if I could take it all back. Everything that I did.
Jones, Saffold. All right.
So I guess I gotta show proof. You can ask Brian. I was fortunate though. I graduated dedicated to crossing the road. On my mind was a lot of wants. So I did what I could just to get me some. Mama used to tell me drugs ain't the only way. Went to church one Sunday and I found faith. And I've been rapping for a while.
And what I aim to do is not allow the fact that I was sexually abused at the age of 10 to continue to have rule in my life. It's like I experienced it. I didn't set that atmosphere up. I experienced it. It caused me some hardship. But through life, I had to gather the necessary resources in order to overcome it. But when I think about other males, especially African Americans males, a lot of us have an image that we try to uphold. And then those is like a macho image. And for those who are not caught up in that theory on why they choose not to reveal the fact that, okay, they was taken advantage of, they was abused as boys, you have some that just choose to protect a family name. But people deal with the issues how they will, you know. But my thing is, when I look back and look at how, like, for instance, PE, physical education, that's one of the most simple subjects in school. Physical education, PE, I failed it because I didn't feel comfortable dressing out amongst other boys in the locker room in order to go and participate in recreational activities outside. Therefore, if I didn't participate in the recreation activities, I failed PE. Simple. But my coach didn't understand what I had went through. Parents didn't understand at that time what I had went through. But it killed my self-esteem to a point where I had never questioned my preference. I mean, I've always been attracted to opposite sex women. The thing was just proving, you know, that I'm a boy. I'm a part of the fraternity of boys. You know, I'm gonna act out to prove, you know, that I didn't create this atmosphere, and I'm not gonna participate in a homosexual lifestyle. I have associates who are both lesbian and gay. You know, with me doing 12 and a half years, when I was back there doing my artwork, some of the people who would come and purchase artwork from me to send to family members were gay people. So that gay complex or whatever, you know, that's something that you can't deal with being confined. When you confined, you're dealing with all type of people, different walks of life, and homosexuals are one of them. But I never had a complex in that area. And the level 4 institutions are the hardest time to do, and I never indulged. But after being released and after harboring my abuse for 19 years, I felt it was best that I write about it and then speak about it. Actually, once I dealt with myself and said, you know what, I got unresolved issues. A lot of people, they can't go that deep within themselves. And I'm telling you, I wrestled. I'm talking about nights I wrestled with. Not necessarily making it known to others, because I was at one of the level 4 institutions known as Staten. Staten is wide open. That's where you have your guerrilla gang members. That's where you have wide open homosexual activity. That's when you have boys, men, mentally boys, indulge in sport and play 24/7. I mean, in other words, it's a jungle. You know, you got guys who act off the physical and they don't apply the intellect. Many of them haven't gotten to that level yet. But Staten is an institution, man, that's wide open with all kind of, you know, brutal acts, you know. But I remember shedding tears. I was sitting on my bed, and I raised my knee up, and I propped my right arm on my knee, and I asked the question, how did I end up here? And I remember shedding tears. So me displaying strength in my own way had never been a problem. And it was never a question as to whether or not I should reveal it. It was me dealing with myself saying, you know what, I'm about to re-enter society. So I don't want to take anything back out there that I brought in. So I wrestled, you know, for nights, man, you know, about should I even start jotting down things in regards to the book. I wrestled with it. I brushed it to the side. Finally, I started writing, jotting down notes, and before I knew it, man, I was after brainstorming. I started going to the law library, typing, and I had like a 264-page book, 65-page book. And it was then that I started sharing my story with other guys. I would actually let them read my book. And I met one guy, excuse me, his mom was a hoe. They lived in Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh. And she left him one night with her pimp. Her pimp sexually abused him. And he approached me, man, after reading my book and said, dude, I had to stop throughout your book. Because, you know, it's bold, man, for you to come out here, you know, actually let me read your book and you just reveal this. But I mean, you didn't create that atmosphere, and that's what the victim got to understand. You did not set the stage for that. Had you done so, you would be a participant and not a victim. People are victims. Victims didn't create, you know, that setting. But I met other people while confined. I've spoke, you know, before groups in prison about me being sexually abused. So it's not an issue about shame, and that's what most victims carry, you know. It's like when I was going through middle school, and I failed PE, and I started indulging in criminal activity in the streets, what I was doing was pretending. And what I mean by that is, as a sexual abuse victim, you know, once that happened to you, you start pretending that it didn't happen. I'm not going to tell nobody. I'm just going to pretend it's never happened. And then you start pretending in other areas. I'm pretending I'm not a victim. Then you start pretending in other areas in life. And before you know it, you are a great pretender. You're pretending now. So what I had to do in order to keep people from associating me with that victim status, I had to become the opposite, which was an aggressor. So I pretended to be an aggressor. And in doing so, that put me at odds with the community, law enforcement, myself, family, etc. But I refuse to carry that shame. And that's what most people are still carrying as victims of sexual abuse crimes, that shame. And as long as you carry that shame, man, you are bound. Whether you was victimized at age 5, 15, 3, 13, whatever. You're always bound to that. As long as you allow that shame to keep you engulfed, you know, in that past or whatever. A long time ago, you know, a lot of people have this thing where they say, well, they'll never voice the fact that they were victims because they feel alone. I carried that same feeling for years. But after seeing other stories starting to surface, it's like, yeah, You know, I'm not alone, and I always knew that. That's why I came forth, and I'm hoping that a project like this, Hijacked Childhood, will prompt other people, you know, to come forward. But I mean, I done lived on the wild side, man. I mean, I've been one of those type guys that people have looked up to for the wrong reason and for the right reason. However, I have scars from the past, and when you have an accident, you're not always responsible for that accident. You was in it, but you're not necessarily responsible for it, and that's what happened, man. But it made me a better person, and sometimes I feel that some things in life are supposed to happen to certain people because that person is going to do something with that situation. You know, when I look at a boy such as Martin Luther King coming from Atlanta, Georgia, and the impact he had on Alabama, Selma, Birmingham, Montgomery, etc. That boy come from Atlanta, and he stood up. It happened to him because he would do it, you know. And that's how, you know, life is sometimes. Sometimes things occur to certain people because those people will take those trials and turn them into triumphs. I'm one of them. I may not, you know, live to see the impact that it have on other victims or whatever. But my thing is making it known that boys, especially the African American boys in the African American community, just as much of victims are Caucasians and other people of other nationalities, whatever. That's the whole message, you know, of this piece. Not to exclude girls and Caucasian, but I wanted to deal with us because as African Americans, we want to hold this subject to be taboo. And that's how I see it. But when I saw other people's stories started surfacing, I was like, yeah, I knew it. Yeah. And you look at the Penn State. I mean, you look at the allegations surrounding Penn State. It's like this guy have done this to several, you know, boys for years, and it's just been suppressed. But I was like cheering them on, you know. And then you got the case in Los Angeles with the two teachers who was gagging and binding students. You know, it goes on every day. There were many times when I was awakened out of my sleep and compelled to start writing my own life story. I didn't feel the need to. I didn't feel that anyone would learn anything from a 10-year-old being sexually abused. However, over a period of 4 months, I finally obliged to do so. How long you been incarcerated?
About 6 months altogether. A little county time, a little city time, nothing major, you know.
Let me share this with you. When you're doing time, don't ever get comfortable with pulling up on people and asking them how much time they done. You got guys who have been sentenced to all type times, man, for murder, kidnapping, robbery. And when you ask a man how much time he done, you take him back to that courtroom.
What's up with them pros, Saffold?
I ain't nothing.
13.
What's up?
13. Inmate 13. We all inmate 13s, man.
Why I gotta be inmate 13?
13th Amendment. 13th Amendment states that no more slavery in the United States.
Slavery?
Slavery.
What you talking about, man?
That's what this is. Once a man's been convicted of a crime, you can be brought back into slavery.
I was checking out one of the buses parked out front, and over the windshield it had the state emblem with the Alabama seal, and over it said corrections is working, established in 1839. When I got to thinking about 1839, I thought about Harriet Tubman. She took the Underground Railroad in the 1800s. Frederick Douglass fled from a plantation in the South in the 1800s.
Right.
There's a slave ship known as the Armistead that was overtaken by slaves July of 1839. So when he speak on the 13th Amendment, it does state slavery will not be tolerated, except an individual have been duly convicted of a crime. Then you are legally brought back into servitude. But when he said that, it made me think about what I had read on the emblem out there over the bus windshield or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is, man. But like I was telling him earlier, I come in with 25 years. I got my GED in 2002, became a GED tutor. It's hard knocks back here now. But at the same time, while you here, while you stationed,
Yeah.
I ain't gonna say you can make the best of your time, but just deal with that reality. Because when we get out, man, we're gonna be faced with that same situation that put us in here. You're gonna be faced with it again. Now, I got a couple partners, man, that just got checked in today. They back selling drugs. So you have to have some form of rethinking, man. And when I got my education, it's like it sparked. It ignited a spark in me to continue educating myself.
Right.
When you look at the word education, it comes from the word educare, which means to bring up or to bring out. Bring what out? Your talent, your inward talent. Whatever your inward talents is, that's what you should be relying on in order to make ends meet, in order to get from point A to point B. But a lot of times we come into incarceration, man, and we want to kick it about what we done on the street, who we slept with, and what we was pushing out there. That's not a reality, dude. But in regards to you, you need to learn these politics, dude. Don't feel comfortable pulling up on people and asking them how much time you done. Don't do that.
Well, check this out. I got a question for you. How do one get into them programs as far as getting a GED?
Well, when I was at Draper, I had went to my caseload worker. She told me, don't even worry about it. She said, right now you got too much time to get it. So, and that's just going through the proper procedure. Just submit a request slip. I did that. But it's just simple, man. You know, you go to your caseload